Hello and welcome back. In our today's lesson in the subject Public Sector Governance, Policy and Administration, we are going to study the performance of public enterprises across sectors. Performance of public enterprises. Now, when we say performance of public enterprises, we are referring to the comparative assessment of how public enterprises perform. That is the meaning of performance of public enterprises across sectors. It is the comparative assessment of how public enterprises perform comparatively in terms of efficiency, profitability, service delivery, and public value across different sectors. Understand? Yes. And in studying performance of public enterprises, is important for us to also make mention of performance contracting. Now, performance contracting is a management tool involving a formal negotiated agreement between the government, who is the principal or owner, and the management of a public enterprise or agency who becomes an agent. Okay, that's performance contracting. It is a management tool involving a formal and negotiated agreement between the government and the management of a public enterprise or agency. This performance contracting sets out specific measurable performance targets to be achieved within a given period of time, with results being reviewed and consequences attached to performance outcomes. Do you understand? Yes. So what is the objective then of performance contracting? Objectives. Objectives of performance contracting. The first objective is to improve efficiency and productivity in public service. One, is to improve efficiency and productivity in the public service. Performance contracting was introduced to address widespread inefficiency and underperformance in state corporations. Right? So the objective then becomes to improve efficiency and productivity in the public service. Because previously these public institutions underperformed, there was a widespread inefficiency. So the performance contracting is a tool that tries to manage and also to help in ensuring that there is efficiency and productivity. The second objective of performance contracting is to enhance accountability. To enhance accountability of public officers and enterprises. That is the second objective of performance contracting. It is a tool that was meant or is meant to create clear, individualized responsibility for results, making it possible to identify who is accountable when targets are not met, rather than just allowing poor performance to be diffused across the organization. When the organization is not attaining the intended results, then that failure can be pinpointed to a specific individual. A specific individual can be held accountable for non-performance. That's why we are saying it enhances accountability. The third objective of performance contracting is to reduce reliance on the exchequer. Performance contracting reduces reliance on the exchequer through improved financial performance, because by setting revenue, by setting cost control, and by setting profitability targets, performance contracting aimed to reduce the fiscal burden that loss-making state corporations placed on the national budget. That is the third objective. Objective number 4 is to align public enterprise operations with the national development priorities. Align public enterprise to align. The objective here is to do what? It is to align the public enterprise operations with the national development priorities. With national development priorities. To align public enterprise, to align public enterprises, to align public enterprise operations with national development priorities. Are you following? Yes. Performance contracts were designed to ensure that the individual agencies' targets were directly linked to broader national goals. The broader national goal could, for instance, be Vision 2030, rather than just operating in isolation from the overall development objectives. That is what performance contracting was meant to do, to align public enterprise operations with the national development priorities. Objective number 5 is to instill a performance-oriented culture. To instill performance-oriented culture of performance. To instill performance-oriented culture and results-based management. This tool sought to shift the public service away from compliance or just process-focused culture toward one oriented, all-round, measurable outputs or outcomes and continuous performance improvement. You understand? Yes, to instill performance-oriented culture. So these are objectives. Now, with these objectives, we can identify benefits. Having understood the benefits, from these benefits we can derive, from these objectives we can derive some benefits. We can derive benefits. What are the benefits of performance contracting? The first obvious benefit is improved service delivery. It leads to improved service delivery may lead to improved service delivery because of clear targets around service standards. With performance contracts, we have targets, we have timelines, we have quality, we have coverage, and that pushes agencies to focus on citizen-facing outcomes rather than just internal processes only. It leads to improved service delivery. The second benefit of performance contracting is that it leads to greater accountability. Greater accountability. And with accountability comes transparency. Greater accountability and transparency. Right? Because publicly known targets and published results, they make it easier for oversight bodies and also the citizens to assess whether an agency is performing or not, which leads to accountability and transparency. Point number 3, enhanced financial discipline. Enhanced financial, it enhances financial discipline. It leads to enhanced financial discipline. Targets around revenue generation and also cost control, they both encourage more prudent financial management, which reduces wastage. 4, better resource allocation. Performance contracting leads to better resource allocation because clear performance expectations help managers prioritize resources toward priorities or activities that directly contribute to the agreed outcomes. That is advantage number 4. Then number 5, the 5th objective is in relation to objectives. That is objective basis for evaluating. It is an objective basis for evaluating the manager's performance. Now, with the performance contracting, it then becomes very easy to evaluate a manager's performance. It becomes the base, in fact, the basis for evaluating or assessing the manager's performance because performance contracting comes with targets. Every manager is given a target, okay, and that provides a fair, pre-agreed standard against which to assess leadership, which then reduces arbitrary or politically motivated judgments. It's a very strong benefit right there. Now let's analyze or put down the next benefit, which is coordination. It leads to improved coordination, and this is coordination with the national government, because here, remember, we are talking about performance contracting in state corporations, right? So why do we need performance contracting in these corporations? Because it will lead to improved coordination with the national goals. Coordination with national goals. These targets can link, they link individual agency performance directly to sector or national development goals or plans, which then strengthens the overall policy coherence. So that is all for today's lesson on performance contracting. In this lesson, we've defined what performance contracting is. We've analyzed, or we have highlighted 5 objectives of performance contracting. One is that it leads to improved efficiency and productivity. Number 2, it enhances accountability and transparency of public officers and enterprises. Number 3, it reduces reliance on the exchequer. Number 4, it aligns public enterprise operations with the national development priorities. Then lastly, it instills performance-oriented culture within public service. Then benefits, number 1, we have improved service delivery. It leads to improved service delivery. Number 2, it leads to greater accountability and transparency. Number 4, number 3, it enhances financial discipline. Number 5, leads to better resource allocation. Number 6, it is an objective basis for evaluating managers' performance. Then lastly, it leads to improved coordination with national goals. Thank you. God bless you. We'll meet in our next session. Bye-bye.